Hi everybody, Barbara Mancuni Smith here, and looks like we're live. Sorry I'm a little late. We we had a little detour with the family, but I'm glad you're here. And for those of you who will be watching and you don't know me, I'm Barbara Mancuni Smith, and I'm the founder of the Medical Medium Detox Support Group, among other things. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about COVID because 10 days ago I was diagnosed with my whole family with COVID. We tested positive, we were symptomatic. So if you guys are coming in and chiming in and you're interested in this conversation, which by the way, you're not going to hear anywhere else because since March 12th, 2020, I've been the only one here talking about COVID and letting you guys have the conversation because you do need a place to have that conversation. And especially now, I've been coaching a lot of you through COVID, but especially now that I've had COVID myself. And again, if you're just watching now, I was diagnosed 10 days ago. 6 days was all we needed to recover from COVID. So today will be my day 10, but as you can see, I'm here and I'm talking to you. So I've been coaching a lot of people through COVID and post COVID rehab and long COVID, but it's different when you have it, right? When you can find not finally, but you can feel it in yourself and also in my family, my husband, my daughter. And see their experiences. So I wanted to come here because I've been documenting my journey day by day in my private page in my private group. But I wanted to come here too because I approve the posts every day and I see what you guys are asking. So I know, especially now that I have a direct experience with this thing, how isolating this journey can be. So maybe you are watching and you have COVID right now. You're going through it right now. Or maybe you're just very scared of COVID. I have a new client that basically said, Barbara, I want you to make me COVID proof. So I know that the fear is high. Um, or maybe you already had COVID. Or maybe you are one of those who is going through a long COVID. So, hey Elizabeth, good to see you. So whatever is your case, just come in and chime in and say, don't, I mean, if you can maybe avoid to spell out the whole word, maybe just an exclamation point or a letter one, number one for the letter I. But please just chime in and tell me where you're at in this journey, right? Have you had it already? Are you going through it right now, or are you just scared you're gonna get it at some point? And I know that you're here because you have questions. So start writing in the message boards your questions because I'm happy to answer them for to the best of my abilities. So um I let me just preface this. I live in the United States in California, but I'm Italian. My whole family lives in Italy. So since the very beginning of this whole pandemic, I've had a kind of a front seat and kind of an advantage point, so to speak, because I've seen what was happening in Italy when here we still had basically no clue of what was happening. And I've been documenting this journey. I've been doing my lives and my YouTube videos since, as I said, I remember the day, it was March 12th, 2020. And I've been the only one doing this. I have a whole newsletter called Uncensored Newsletter where you guys can get unbiased information about this pandemic that we're all living, okay? Because I felt from the beginning that the part that I needed to play in this was to empower you the information that you need to make informed decisions. And I did not agree, and I did not partake with those practitioners or whomever who refrain themselves from talking about it just for fear, because if anything we need to be role models here, and fear is leading us nowhere, right? And fear in fact is one of the major obstacles that you will find when you're dealing with COVID. So if you guys are watching, coming in, chiming in, come and say hi and tell me, why is it that you're watching? What is it? What are some of the questions that you want to um, me to address? If it's about my own journey with COVID, if it's about protocols, if it's about immunization, we're gonna address a little bit of all of this today for the next 45 minutes. So let's start with, are you guys scared of COVID? I want you to be honest here and just chime in, raise your hands and say, yes, I'm scared. Yes, I'm scared. And why? Why are you scared? Because that's a conversation that we should have. Okay. Hi, Veronica. Good to have you here. So, you guys, if you are scared of COVID, please can you write it there? Just say, I'm scared. Yes, it's me. I want this place. I created this place to be a safe place, and it's really the only one. If you guys are going, are I know you belong to different groups. Really, the only one is specifically within the medical medium community that allows us to have this conversation. Okay, now this is not specifically a medical medium conversation because he doesn't really talk about it like a lot of other practitioners, but it's part of our lives, so it's important that we address it, and this is the place for you guys to do it. So again, if you have any questions specifically, so Leanne goes straight to it. Shedding. How long do we need to stay away from someone that got the jab? Well, Leanne, I would say that it will be safe 3 weeks since the jab or the possible booster. But sometimes it's not possible, right? And sometimes you may be aware of who these people are, but if you are out and about, you have no idea of who are the people that you meet at the grocery store, at your physical therapy place. You don't know. So it's important, you guys, that you don't live in fear. Now, the way I've addressed COVID prophylactically and the shedding prophylactically is through homeopathy. So I've been the only one offering 2 specific remedies homeopathically that you can find on my website at barbaramancooneysmith.com under COVID resources, and I can put a link here. One, it's for COVID prophylaxis, and one, it's for shedding prophylaxis. So one is called SRM for shedding prophylaxis, and the other one is Influenzainum CV30, but it's in a special formulation that is not the one that you can find just Googling on, I guess, Amazon or something. So we've done a study with this homeopathy, and we have studied over 500 people who have been using the Influenzainum specifically regularly, including myself and my whole family. And we've seen consistently the same results. People would either not get sick if exposed, or their symptoms would just be very short-lived. Now, if you guys are joining now, and if you have not caught that part, I tested positive 10 days ago, and so my whole family. That means my husband and my 4-year-old daughter. We were all symptomatic, and we were able to turn a corner on day 6. So today would be my day 10. I gained again my smell yesterday and taste. That was not pretty. But the first 5 days we're gonna go through this have been awful, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, guys, because I've always been very blunt and very honest. And if things don't make sense, I'm gonna be honest about it. And if things I constantly critical think, and I'm even willing to go back to things that I've said before if now don't make any sense anymore for me. So what are some of the things that, again, come and say hi so I know you're watching if you have any questions. So Veronica, we addressed your question. Veronica is saying, I'm not afraid of COVID, but not taking chances in crowds, seek protection. What about antibodies? I've known people with jab that has COVID and antibodies saved the day. When you say antibodies, are you talking about their own antibodies, or are you talking about monoclonal antibody therapy? Because that's kind of a different thing. Hi, Kareem. Good to see you. So yeah, Veronica, if you can specify the questions about the antibodies, then I can get you a better answer. Okay, so for those of you who are coming in now, chime in, say hi, where you're calling from, and tell me what's your COVID situation. Have you had it? Are you scared of catching it at some point, or are you going through it right now? And most importantly, are you afraid of it? I talk a great deal about fear, you guys, because fear plays a major role into hindering your healing process. And how do you know if you live in fear? Well, mostly it's very simple. You ask yourself, why do you do the things you do every day? Why do you drink your celery juice? Why do you get the artificial immunization? Why didn't you get the artificial immunization? If the answer is because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't, then you're living in fear. And that is something that you need to start facing, because that in itself may be the major obstacle that is stopping you from fully, thriving and overcoming your health challenges. And it's not something that can be taken lightly, you guys, especially now with the COVID experience. I've said to all of my clients, COVID is something that you beat before you get it. This is not something that you get it one day, you get tested, you become symptomatic, you're exposed, and then all of a sudden, and I see you guys frantically asking for, what else should I take beside this and this and this? Should I take anything else? What should I take for, the loss of sense, taste and smell? What should I, we get all freaked out, and we revert into a version of us that is not the version that puts us in the best position to beat COVID and any chronic illnesses, any chronic illness that you may be dealing with. So it's important, as I said, that if you take one thing only out of this life today, which is this: you beat COVID before you get COVID. So what does that mean? I've been saying this for a while, but now having had myself, I'm the living proof that this is the case. What does it mean that you beat COVID before you get COVID? It means that COVID is a virus, okay? And every virus depends on the host, which is us, for their survival. So simply put, what you want is to make yourself in an hospitable environment so that the virus will not be able to thrive. This is true for COVID, but it's also true for all the other viruses that you guys are dealing with: EBV, shingles, and all the other herpes viruses that Anthony talks about. This is how they work. They all work the same way. So if you make yourself in an unhospitable environment, the virus will not have a chance to thrive. And it's not just true for viruses, it's actually true for a lot of pathogens. That is parasites, that is bacteria, for instance, fungi. And did you know that actually the viruses are actually parasites, some form of parasites? That is why a lot of antiparasitic are working seemingly well to abate this current circulating virus. So you need to beat COVID before you get it. You need to make yourself, which is the terrain, the host, unhospitable, so that if and when you meet this virus or any other virus, your body will be an environment that doesn't support proliferation, that doesn't support replication. And there are ways to do that. But, and I've been saying this for a while, you guys, but then, then I got COVID, and I didn't get COVID. I want to address this as well. Someone wrote to me the other day, like, Barbara, I've been exposed, possibly I've been on a front line working for the past 2 years, and I do my best and I follow you, but then, I have my hopes up, but then when I see someone like you getting sick, then is when I get scared, because someone like you doing mostly the right things and still get sick. So we're going to address that as well, you guys, because this is a pivotal shift in perception of what health is and why we want to go with COVID about a certain way. So, as I said, rule number one, you beat COVID before you get COVID. So you make yourself in an hospitable environment. What's an inhospitable environment for a virus? An inhospitable environment for a virus is a place, like Anthony teaches us, that doesn't hold a lot of food that the virus could thrive. So of course your nutrition is key, because if you keep eating eggs and you keep eating the food that feed the viruses, that makes it a very hospitable environment, because the virus comes in and has to feed and can replicate. So you want to make sure that your nutrition is on point. And we're going to talk about nutrition, in fact, what that means specifically for COVID. Then you want to make your an hospitable environment, making sure that you are alkalized and on an alkaline side of chemistry, right? There are two sides of chemistry, the acidic one and the base or alkaline one. You want to be on the side of the base, of the alkali. You want to be alkalized, because in an acidic environment, this is when toxicity, including viruses, thrive, including cancer, when the cell starts to break down from the inside out. So how do you alkalize your body? Well, you make nutritional choices. They are on an alkaline side, right? But most importantly, you need to make sure that your toxicity, which is acid from a chemical perspective, all of it. So what's toxicity? Viruses are toxicity, pathogens are toxicity, right? And not just them, their byproduct as well is toxic, right? So the byproduct of the EBV virus, the byproduct of COVID virus, it's toxic. When you kill, you are even more toxic than the viruses, the viral cells alive. So viruses have byproducts, and those are part of toxicity. Okay, heavy metals are toxicity. Chemicals in our bodies, toxins. It's toxic, right? All the bacteria and parasites that we talked about. So all the pathogens are part of the toxicity. But now I want to really, kind of put them all together and just use the big T, which is toxins. Okay, so I said, number one, you make yourself an hospitable environment by making nutritional choices that don't feed the viruses, right? Two, you make sure you are alkalized. So when you're alkalized, that means that your body has a pH that is about 6. And how do you get there? Now, of course, nutritional choices are key. So you don't want to eat food that is acid forming. What is the food that is acid forming? Meat by chemistry. This, we're not even talking about ethically, and we're not even talking about judging people who eat meat versus people who don't eat meat. But if your goal is to alkalize your body, the metabolization of animal products produces a product, a byproduct, which is acidic. It acidifies the body. Okay, dairy, they acidify the body. So you don't want dairy, you don't want animal products if you're trying to alkalize your body, right? But we know what alkalizes the body. So the leafy greens, the fruit, the citruses are all very alkalizing. So, but beside the nutritional choices that you make in order to keep your body alkaline, there's the most important one that is even more important than nutrition, which is you need to make sure that your toxicity, remember I said the big T, we put all of them, the pathogens, the heavy metals, the chemicals, all of the things, the mold that you've been exposed to that kind of creates your toxic load. You need to make sure that this toxicity is actually leaving your body. Because if the toxicity doesn't leave your body, you have a lot of acidity inside of you that is then being a cause for new pathogens to come in and thrive, or old pathogens that are harboring in your body to thrive, because your body is extremely acidic. But why? Because the toxicity that you've been building up over time since you were born, possibly. Some, maybe you have mercury fillings in your mouth, and so you're holding it, right? And you can't at least those remove. So you've been holding on to toxicity, you keep building up. And so that toxicity doesn't leave your body, is acidity that is contributing to make yourself a very hospitable environment for circulating viruses. Okay, and even for all viruses, you guys, we're not just talking COVID here, we're talking about all the viruses that you all, if you are in this group, may be dealing with. So you are so focused on your diet, and I always say that this is great, you guys, but what about the progressed acidity, the progressed toxicity that is in your body and is not leaving your body? So if you guys have heard me talking before, and for those of you who know me, you know who I am. And if you don't know, I'm the one that became famous for the lymphatic reset. But why? I'm the only one who has been talking about elimination pathways. Now, why are we talking about elimination pathways with COVID? Because you guys, if I had a hunch that was all because I've had so many people getting COVID while on my lymphatic reset, or I had people getting over the long COVID by doing my lymphatic reset. But what's the rationale behind this? The rationale, and if you've never heard me talking about this, the rationale behind the elimination pathways, the focus on the elimination pathways, and just to recap, just in case you're not familiar with the 5 ones, we're talking about your bowel. That's one elimination pathway. So your digestion, right? And your elimination through your bowel. That also is called poop. We're talking about your kidneys and your elimination through your kidneys, so your pee. Then we're talking about your skin and the elimination through your skin. That's your sweat. And then we're talking about your lungs and your elimination through the toxicity that gets eliminated through your breathing. And then last, the 5th one is your tears. So in my lymphatic reset, we address each individual elimination pathway because you guys, and I can tell you because I just said it, right? 5 days ago, I was miserable. 5 days ago was the worst day of my COVID journey. And that is interesting because day four, instead, I thought I had turned a corner. I'm like, I posted in my private group, I posted the photos, my videos, and people were like, oh, look at you, rosy cheeks and all. You turned in a corner. That was day four. Day five took me down like with a vengeance. So 5 days ago, I was in this situation, okay? And I've witnessed on my own body, and to get even more confirmation that when you get a virus, the first thing that happens, what's the first thing? If you guys have got any virus, not just COVID, tell me, what is the first thing you feel as you get the virus? Karen is day 10 with COVID. Monoclonal. Veronica, we're gonna get there. Okay. The live keeps cutting out. Leanne, still following medical medium for 5 years, 6 years, but still dealing with significant issues. How does that play into getting the plague and beating it? Okay, we're gonna talk about all this. If I get this COVID, should I take the homeopathic I bought from you twice a day still? No, Elizabeth, you want to get the homeopathic and take it now. And then the first day of COVID, you take one dose and that's it. Then you want to go based on symptoms because most of us have different symptoms. Although I'm noticing that as you know, the variants slightly change, the cluster of people that get sick around the same time kind of exhibit the same symptoms. You know, for instance, the people who got sick in July, they had similar symptoms than the people who got sick now. So the people who got sick in December, I've noticed we all had the same symptoms. So just to make sure, Elizabeth, do not take the influenzainum after you get COVID, okay? The point, that is a prophylactic. So you want to get it up to the day you get COVID. And then if you get it, then you take one dose and that's it. And we move on to other things for based on the symptoms that you're exhibiting, right? Okay, so what we were talking about beating COVID before you get COVID. How do you beat COVID? We said you have to make yourself in an hospitable environment. You do this through nutrition, and that's the first thing. You do that through alkalizing your body. Alkalizing your body is not just a nutritional choice that of course you have to continue to make, but is making sure that your elimination pathways are open so that the toxicity that you've been hoarding that is making you acidic, because toxicity is acidic. There's no toxins in your body, including viruses, they are alkaline. Does it make sense? So if you have toxicity in your body, whether it's metals, chemicals, mold, whether it's pathogens, all sorts of pathogens and all of their byproducts, from a chemical perspective, they are all acidic. So you want to make sure that this amount of toxicity, this load, your toxic load, it's actually leaving your body before you get COVID. You don't want to get COVID with toxicity that is still up to here. Because the difference between people getting COVID and recovering in 2, 3, 4, 5 days and people having long COVID and people going into, respiratory issues and having to be assisted at the hospital is, you guys, listen to this, is their pre-existing, not conditions, but their pre-existing toxic load. So, and I've seen that. I have proofs of that. I have been coaching people through that because the moment I help, especially the people with long COVID, eliminate, they basically go back to life. And the beautiful part of that is they don't just go back to life pre-COVID. They go back to life way before COVID, meaning all of those chronic issues that they were dealing with. And some of you just said, I've been following medical medium for 6 years. I still have issues. There is a problem there. And the problem is not the medical medium. The problem is that your body is not eliminating effectively the toxicity that you've been holding on to. So you're still a hospitable environment, not unhospitable, but hospitable environment for pathogens, for instance. So when I tell you guys, take this, just one message from me today, if that's the only thing you take, that is you beat COVID before you get COVID, means that you need to alkalize your body and you need to make sure that all of your elimination pathways are open so that when you do meet the virus, you are in a position of having the happy end, meaning you're alkalized, and the virus will not thrive in an alkalized environment. So that is why I created the lymphatic reset, you guys. And I mean, I became popular for the lymphatic reset. Thousands of people are taking my reset. But if there's a moment in time that you want to consider a lymphatic reset and your elimination pathways, and please, before any of you start to tell me here that Anthony said that the lymphatic system doesn't matter, that is all about the liver, I beg you to open your eyes and your ears to what I'm about to tell you. When I call this thing lymphatic reset, but truly I could have called it anything else. I could have called it the ultimate detox. I could have called it, doesn't matter. The point is, the goal of this reset is to open up your elimination pathways, you guys. Why is the lymphatic system important? But just one of the systems that we are touching when we talk lymphatic reset and elimination pathways. Because your lymphatic system has two major roles. One, and again, as I told you at the beginning, what happens when you get the virus? What do you feel when you get the virus? Doesn't have to be COVID. You've had viruses before. You've had mono, you've had, probably, bunch of influenzas. How do you feel? First thing, your lymph nodes starts to swell, even if they don't hurt. But what's the first thing the doctor touches? It touches all of your lymph nodes here, your groins, underneath your armpit. Why? What are the lymph nodes? The lymph nodes are the hub of what? Your blood system? No. And wait a minute, you only have two fluid systems. There isn't a third and a fourth and a fifth. There are only two. One is the blood system, and the lymph nodes do not belong to your blood system. And the second one, the most extensive one, is your lymphatic system. And the lymph nodes are the hub of your lymphatic system. So when you get the virus, the first thing you feel is like swollen here in your throat, especially if you get respiratory issues, right? You can have your underarm, it could be your groin, as I said, but you have lymphatic vessels and lymph nodes throughout your body, from your head to your toes. That is how important this system is. So what happens with the lymph nodes? Well, there's something called T cells, and T as in Tom, cells, they are not in your liver, although there are lymphatic vessels in your liver, but they are everywhere throughout your body in your lymphatic system. They are the first responders, your immune system first responders. If your lymphatic system is down, the ability for these first responders to go out and create a barrier against any COVID or any virus that can come in is affected. And why is it important? Because these T cells are the ones that are tagging all the foreign invaders, virus, pathogens, fungi, parasite, whatever that may be, right? They tag it. Why? Because then the second line of response is the one that is going to go and eat and destroy the cells that has been tagged. But they have to be tagged for the other cells to know that those are the cells that needs to be eliminated. And without tagging, which is a proprietary action of your lymphatic system, your immune system is compromised. The activity of your immune system is compromised. So, and that brings me to, so that's the first thing that you feel when you get any virus, right? You feel your lymphatic system at work, right? Your swollen lymph node. That is what is supposed to happen. Lymphatic system is at work. However, if your lymphatic system is stagnant and clogged, and instead of being a lazy river that moves the lymph with all the toxins inside, instead is not moving, your immune response that you mount towards that specific virus, it's going to be highly compromised. So obviously when people end up in the hospital, nobody's checking the lymphatic system. They don't even study in school lymphatic system unless we talk about, lymphoma. So it's underestimated in a way that it just give me the creeps. But anyway, so first thing, lymphatic system, right? Your immune system starts to respond through your lymphatic system, not through your gut, through the lymphatic system and the lymph nodes, which are the hubs of your lymphatic system. So T cells at work tagging all this viral cells. Now in COVID specifically, and so that's another thing that I want you to invite you to consider. A lot of you tell me, oh, Barbara, I'm having these symptoms, but I'm not going to get tested. I'm just going to pretend, I'm just going to treat it as any other flu. Why is it important that you get tested instead? You want to know if you have COVID. Okay, now test it twice. If you don't trust it, test it at home, test the PCR, which is the ultimate kind of gold standard. But you guys, you need to know if you have COVID. Why do you want to know if you have COVID? And why, if you have symptoms, you're like, well, whatever, I have symptoms, we'll see. No, because with COVID, the first 48 hours from the onset of symptoms are crucial to turn this thing around. And the first 48 hours are also the hours that correspond with your initial lymphatic system activity, which is your immune system, as we just discussed, and your T cell activity. So we need to make sure, you need to know that this is COVID, because this is not something that you waited out. You know why a lot of people die? They die of malpractice. They didn't die of COVID, because the last thing that you want to hear is wait it out at home, see how that goes, and take some ibuprofen. They've been killing these people with this advice. So you want to get tested. You want to know you have COVID, and you're going to act in the first 48 hours for phase 1. COVID goes in phases. So you need to get on top of it on phase 1 to turn things around for phase 2, so that you can overcome this faster and you're not going to be one of these long haul COVID. Okay? Does it make sense? So what do we, just to make sure, we talked about beating COVID before you get COVID by making yourself in an hospitable environment. So making nutritional choices that are on the alkaline side, and making sure that your elimination pathways are open so that your toxicity load can actually leave your body. And even when you encounter a virus, the body knows what to do. Because you guys, even the fact that, let's say your lymphatic system works, and we have to maybe even address why the lymphatic system is important, because most of you don't even know what the lymphatic system does. But so let's say that lymphatic system works properly and the T cells are tagging all these viral cells, right? They are tagged for destruction, okay? Now, if your system works properly and the cells are eaten up, they are destroyed, they're not disappearing from your body. You know what I'm saying, you guys? So let's say, just making it very simple, you get this viral cell that comes in through your nose or through your mouth, and then your lymph nodes or your lymphatic system do a good work on tagging it, right? So I got this few cells here of COVID, they're tagged for destruction. But when we say destruction, what does that mean? So we destroy the cells. Where are these cells going? Are they just disappearing? Even if they're destroyed, even if they're killed, and that is true for EBV and all the other viruses, the dead corpse of these cells that end up making, that end up as part of your toxic load, they have to be eliminated. Do you understand? So eating up, killing the viral cells, that again, as Anthony says, dead cells, viral cells, are more toxic than the cells themselves. Their byproduct is more toxic. So, but this byproduct and these dead cells, where are they going? They have to come out of your body to be effectively eliminated. And now, for those of you who have COVID, who have had COVID, or any other virus that you can remember, do you remember your poop when you had COVID? It's called viral poop. Do you remember the poop? It's not a normal poop. It's not nicely formed. It's a mix between diarrhea, but it's not really diarrhea because it's formed, but not like a real, it's possibly even changing color and the smell. So why is that a viral poop? Because you're eliminating dead or alive cells of a virus. So that goes back to elimination, right? Elimination. I can't stress this enough, you guys. You beat COVID before you meet COVID. You beat COVID by making sure that your elimination pathways are open. That means that your bowel is ready to go, that your kidneys are properly filtering, that your breathing and your lungs are doing the work that they're supposed to do, that your skin, which is your third kidney, actually works and you can sweat it out. Now, remember last time you were sick? Do you remember when you had a fever or a flu? Do you remember that you sweat a lot? Do you remember that? Why? Why would you sweat? To lower your body temperature? Maybe. But what are you sweating? What's in this little droplet? What's in there? The virus. That's right. Your toxic load. Yes. So There's a lot of things. There's viruses, there's heavy metals that you sweat through the skin. And why? Because the moment, and I felt this myself like 5 days ago, you guys, the moment you get this virus, the body gets into this purging mode and it's eliminating. I've seen it with my daughter. Her poop were, first of all, 4 or 5 poops a day with very little food, because what we did as soon as we got the test positive, we got into a juice fasting. So, and that has saved us. I mean, I'm here 10 days later versus some of you still there after 2 weeks, because I prepare my body through my lymphatic reset, of course, a lifestyle. And I've also, while I had COVID, made sure that I continue the main focus, single-mindedly on eliminating. Because what you want once you get this virus is to get it out of your body. But it doesn't just disappear out of your body, you guys. It doesn't take a pill and it's gone. Even the ivermectin, we're going to talk about ivermectin. You need to poop, to sweat, and breathe this virus out of your body once you get it. So before you get COVID, make sure your elimination pathways are open. So when is the best time to get into a lymphatic reset? Yesterday. You guys, yesterday. Now, we have a new group that starts on January 3rd, but I beg you to consider it, because you're going to learn so much and you're going to feel so much better. And those of you who after 6 years of medical medium are still dealing with stuff, why would this possibly be? No, do not tell me, because you've heard that it takes a long time. 6 years is already a long time. Some people don't even have 6 years. So when the body starts to work, you see it pretty fast. In 6 years, there's no excuse for you to still be symptomatic or dealing with stuff after 6 years. Now, I don't know what that means when you say, I've been doing this since 2015. It's very personal. Some people do it to the T, some people do it 80%, some people are just juicing the celery juice. So I don't know what that means. But I promise you guys that if you're putting any effort into this lifestyle, 6 years, it's, in my opinion, 5 years too late to be dealing with this. So the reason why I designed the lymphatic reset and it's become so popular is because people are like, I was stuck, I reached a plateau, and Barbara lymphatic reset unstuck me. But why? I didn't physically went there and unstuck the person. I worked on the elimination pathways that apparently nobody talks about. But guess what happens when you get COVID? Your whole body moves to eliminate this virus. So how do you eliminate anything? Through your bowels, through your kidneys, through your skin, through your lungs, and through your tears. You guys, the first 3 days of COVID, I cried. I told my husband the tears of the world. And it wasn't because I was scared or I was in pain, which I was in pain. I had this emotional purge. So the body is in elimination mode. Every time you want to get rid of anything toxic, you're in elimination mode. You know what that means? It means that you have to push stuff out, and your well-being and livelihood depends entirely on your ability to push this stuff out, you guys. I mean, if I can give you one advice, and at this point, I'm the living proof, right? Before, it was me talking, but I wasn't there, right? It was like, oh, I have so many people with a lymphatic reset. But now, I've gone through this, guys. I've had clients who had mild headaches and they were done with COVID. I had clients that said, oh, 2 days, light flu, I'm good. So people would expect of me to say, well, she does all the right things. She gets COVID, she's on, in 6 hours, she's done. I wasn't done, you guys, in 6 hours. In 6 days, that's how long it took me to get over COVID. And it wasn't pretty. Now, I didn't post this here, but I post my journey every day. I would make a video, post photos of myself. I didn't know how it was going to go, guys. I could have been still here, in my bed, talking like, oh my God, I'm dying. But I post every day because I wanted people to follow me and get some sort of support, emotional support. I wanted you guys to see me. So I didn't resolve COVID in 2 days, not in 24 hours, not in few hours like other clients. I resolved COVID in 6, but I resolved it for myself and my family. And I'm here 10 days later, since my diagnosis, talking to you. So I would be blunt enough to say, I know a little bit about what I'm talking about, you guys. So it's important that you consider your elimination pathways. I beg you guys, I beg you to try this for yourself. And doesn't matter who says what. We're all here because we all want to get better. And if anything I'm saying resonates with you, please follow me on this, because I would not need to be doing or telling you these things if they weren't real. So your ability to overcome COVID, any other stuff that you may be dealing with 6 years into it, depends directly on your ability to eliminate the toxic load that you've been harboring. So old progressed load, and the new one. So as I said, if you get a new virus like COVID right now, you will be producing toxins, because this COVID is toxic like any other virus. The byproduct is toxic. And so you need to eliminate these cells. And how do you eliminate them? Not through your livers, because the liver doesn't have a spout. Things don't come out of your liver. Do you understand that? And also, toxicity is on a cellular level. You know what that means? That every single trillion cells you got in your body have a metabolism. What does that mean? That whether it's your human cell, whether it's a friendly bacteria cell, whether it's a pathogenic cell, they all eat, metabolize, and poop. Just like a baby. Every single cell in your body. So there are two systems in the body. And there are only two that go from head to toe. You know why? Because one feeds the cell. Can you guess which system is the one that feeds the cells? Is that the lymphatic system? No. Is that the blood system? Yes. Your blood system, it goes from head to toes because it feeds the cells. And you got cells from here to your little pinky toe, in your little nail, your pinky toe. You got cells everywhere. Every single cell needs to be fed. They don't just go, and they show up in the cafeteria of your body for lunchtime. So the cells have to be fed on site. That's why you have the blood system. But then they eat, they go to bed, they sleep, they have their little metabolism, and then they poop. Where's this poop going? Who's picking up the poop? The liver? Is the liver going from head to toe to go and pick up all this toxicity, all this elimination, all this sewage? No, the liver doesn't go on site. There's only another system that goes from head to toe that is tasked to go on site on each individual cell level to pick up this poop, this toxicity, this byproduct of the metabolism of all the cells, humans and non-humans. So that's your lymphatic system. So even if the liver is a master detoxifier, someone's got to bring to the liver the toxicity for the liver to be able to filter. And the liver, for me, is like the big filter that you have, like in your HVAC or your vacuum cleaner. You got that filter, or your air purifier, you got this big sponge. But the air has to come into there to be purified, right? And the same is with the toxicity of our body. The lymphatic system is the sewage system of your body because it collects on site, because it can, because it's so extensive. There's a lymphatic system in the liver, in your gut. There's a lymphatic system in your head. It's called lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is the collector of the toxicity that then gets taken to the liver to be filtered. And then, guess what? Once it goes through the liver, it has to be eliminated. The liver doesn't have a mouth and you poop out of your liver. You don't pee out of your liver. You don't sweat out of your liver. So anybody that talks about organs individually, it's extremely myopic. And let's leave the allopathic community to do that, to dissect us in pieces and just be seen for your thyroid, endocrine system, or what else? It's your rheumatologist, or your GI doctor. Let's leave the allopathic community to do that and break us in pieces and not look at the body as a system. Because anybody that doesn't consider the body as a system, I don't care who that is misled and extremely myopic. So the liver doesn't work alone. Like the lymphatic system doesn't work alone. So when we look at elimination, we have to consider the interrelations of organs and systems together. So anybody that says don't think about the lymphatic system, that just do the liver. That's not how the body works. The body doesn't do the liver. Again, as I just explained to you, the lymphatic system brings the toxicity to the liver. Someone's gonna bring it. But if that system doesn't work properly, the liver will not have ever a chance to to filter toxicity out, because at the beginning, this system is stagnant. How does this system get stagnant? When the amount of toxicity becomes too high. So remember, the toxicity is acid. I just told you from a chemical perspective. So when you're very acidic, your lymphatic system gets stagnant. When you have a lot of toxins inside of you, your lymphatic system gets stagnant. And so you need to alkalize. And how do you alkalize? Remember when I told you that every single cell poops? Okay, so the quality, get that, of that poop is what you should be worried about. So it's the quality of the poop of your cells as much as the quality of your own poop. And in the lymphatic reset, we all talk a great deal about poops and a great deal about pees. So it's not just about lymphatic system, it's about all of your elimination pathways, including the liver that needs to filter, of course. So as I said, I could have called it the ultimate detox. I could have called it the elimination detox. It doesn't matter. Don't get distracted because I call it the lymphatic reset. The point is, when people address the elimination pathways, things starts to move. And so then it makes sense. A lot of the things you're doing, the lymphatic reset optimizes your body to reap the benefit of a 369, to reap the benefit of staying, low fat, to reap the benefit of staying eye raw, to reap the benefit of juicing celery. But you need to make sure that your elimination pathways are open, that your toxicity level, hence acidity level, lessen. And that is when, not just COVID, you get it in 5 days, you're done, but anything else. So a lot of people that comes through the lymphatic reset, they lose weight. A lot of you are gaining weight. But why? You guys are eating salads. How is that possible? So there is a reason. And that is why I went back to the drawing board to design something, because it made no sense. And I'm the person that needs to find the whys, always. If they make no sense, I need to find the answer, because it's just how I work. I need to make sense of things. So guys, let's talk about, I'm gonna see if there are more questions, but let's talk about ivermectin, because that's a question that people have asked. So remember when I told you, let me see here, Karen, I'm on day 10 with COVID. I'm following medical medium virus protocol. Okay, Karen, tell us, how are you feeling day 10 with COVID? What's going on? How are you feeling? And then we go on. Then we have Leanne, that is still dealing with significant health issues after 6 years of medical medium. Then what do we have? Leanne, there's no coupon for the 6-week cleanse. I don't do coupons. But what I told you guys is that because I didn't have a lymphatic reset in December, if you sign up now, we start on January 3rd, you can join my private health club and be part of it for, at this point, the remainder of this month, which is 2 weeks, for free. Because you will be part of the Be Well Health Club while you're doing your cleanse. And that's fine, that's free to you. But now you can get in right now, even though you start on January 3rd, and start asking your questions every day if you want to, for free. So here we have CCJ Lunger that says, a few years ago I stopped being able to sweat even when sick. And that brings me to another point. So this client of mine just posted yesterday on my Be Well Health Club. Barbara, I got really scared when I saw that you got sick, because I feel like if you get sick, what about us? Are you doing all the things right? First of all, you guys, I'm very far from doing anything right. But that's another key piece of information that I want you to make yours, okay? We were misled to believe that people who don't get sick must be healthier. So I never get the flu, I must be healthier. My immune system must be working properly. But now the same people are also plagued with, 1 or 2 autoimmune condition, but they never get the flu. And in their mind, they're good. So the person that said to me, Barbara, I got scared when I saw you getting sick. And again, she saw me because I was doing every day, my lives with a face that looked like death. So they saw me and they were concerned, of course. But you need to understand that we were misled when we were made believe that if we don't get sick, our immune system must be working. Because what we want the immune system to do is to mount an appropriate response. And remember this word, appropriate. Okay? The problem with COVID and the problem with artificial immunization is in this word, appropriate. What is appropriate? Elizabeth said, I also got scared when I saw that you were sick. You see, guys, scared, that means fear. Remember, we talked about fear at the beginning. Fear is hindering your healing process, and fear will make your COVID so much worse. You know how many people went to the hospital thinking that they have respiratory insufficiency when actually they were just having a panic attack? But you are not able to differentiate between the two. So getting yourself to a place where you are empowered, not in fear, is key, not just for COVID, but for everything else. But so I don't want to lose the train of thought. People were misled to believe that if we don't get sick, we must be healthy. That is not true. What we want is to mount an appropriate response. And I said, remember this word, appropriate. Why is this important? Appropriate implies that it's not too much. Cytokine storm, have you heard of that? Big issue with COVID. And is not underperforming. Okay, you want an appropriate response. That's what you want. You want to modulate your immune system. Instead, go very far away from any practitioner that tells you that you need to boost your immune system, because they really don't know what they're talking about. And reading a couple of books from someone doesn't make them practitioners. They might make them good scholars, and they might tell you verbatim what the book says in every podcast, but doesn't make them good practitioners. So you want someone that has opened their minds and has been exposed to a lot, that has critical thinking, and that is not just following like a blank statement, anything or anybody. So we don't want to boost your immune system. Nobody. You should totally forget about this whole concept of boosting your immune system. What you want is for your immune system to mount an appropriate response, appropriate to the situation. So for my situation, I've had 5 days that were rough. Day 4 was good. Day 5 was not good, you guys. So I had let's call it 5 rough days, okay? And so Elizabeth and Corinne and other people that follow me in my Be Well Health Club, they were like, oh shit, she's getting sick. So what does that say about us? And so a lot of people even said, are you regretting not to have had the artificial immunization? No, guys, and we're going to talk about that too. But you want to mount an appropriate response. So someone said, I never get sick. Okay, I have a client right now. She is on day 18th, very miserable. She never had a fever. I had fever for 5 days. My daughter had fever for 8 days until 2 days ago. So Hippocrates said, give me fever and I will cure everything. You know what that means, you guys? Fever is not COVID. Fever, it's us. It's our immune system. The mucus, the coughing, that's not COVID. That is us. And that is my wonderful husband that thought she's talking a lot. By the way, grapefruit juice, lifesaver. So I got the fever. And because I got the fever, my immune system mounted this response, which is the fever. And because of it, I got over COVID in 6 days. My client, 18 days into COVID, she never had fever once. So people would be like, well, if she has fever, she's worse off than the person who doesn't have fever. But that is not true. You want to mount an appropriate response. As I said, Hippocrates said, give me fever, I'll cure anything. So the fact that I got sick doesn't mean that I'm not doing well. The fact that I got over COVID in 6 days shows that what I've been doing before COVID, as I told you from the beginning, you beat COVID before you get it, And what I've done, yes, during COVID, but it's not the 6 days or this 10 days that is going to make a huge difference. You have to beat COVID before it. Remember, you have to alkalize before your body. You get COVID, and you have to make nutritional choices and herbal and supplement choices that are the right ones to make sure that your body becomes an hospitable environment. But now, even if you make these choices, it doesn't mean that if and when you meet the virus, this or many others, what you want is for you not to have symptoms. Because having symptoms, it doesn't mean you're succumbing to COVID. Having symptoms means I'm alive. My immune system, remember, lymphatic system, T cells, is responding and is mounting, is doing a dance. That's how we were designed. And so you were doing this dance in the first 2 days where the body's trying to understand what are you? I've never met you before. How do I'm sizing you, I'm trying to scope you out so that I know what to do with you. And this exercise of the immune system is what makes you stronger. So the goal is not to never get COVID. The goal is to encounter COVID, mount an appropriate response, and make yourself stronger and your immune system stronger because of that encounter. So a lot of you know that I do a lot of homeopathy. So Elizabeth just mentioned that she's been taking my influence item. So the premise of homeopathy, if any of you have known anything about homeopathy or knows much about homeopathy, is not that, including the influence item I've been giving you guys, the one that you can find on my website, and the COVID resources, the influence item CV30. So the premise is not take this, you're never gonna get COVID. The point is, this is priming your body to basically, it's like a briefing to your immune system and say, this is what you could expect by that encounter. So that when it meets that pathogen, it's not going to be caught completely unprepared. So I've been taking for 2 years the influence item CV30 that you'll find on my website. And I still got symptoms from COVID. But as I said, you guys, this wasn't COVID. What I've experienced, and I said there were 5 nasty days, was my body responding to COVID. So the acuteness with which my body responds to COVID depends on how my immune system was doing before I met COVID, right? So I credit my lymphatic reset lifestyle to the reason that me and my husband and my daughter overcame COVID very, I would say fairly simply. And I credit to the influence item, of course. And I credit to all the herbal support that I take and all the other antivirals that I don't generally take. Because when COVID came, I did take the antivirals. There's other thing, you guys are being led to believe that in order to overcome whatever you're dealing with, you have to load yourself up with this heavy amount of antivirals that, to be honest, have 2 major issues. One, I would say 3. One, you need to have the money to pay for it, and not everybody can sustain that. But guess what? You don't need to. 2, that's a good question, Elizabeth. I'm going to answer in a second. 2, you need to take that much quantities, and your body's going to level out. So if you guys have been doing this for a while, right, and you've noticed that you've been taking all the antivirals that you've been told to take, and then you either reach a plateau, and when things don't work anymore, your practitioners that you trust is going to tell you to double, to triple, to increase the quantity, okay? Because the body gets used to everything, and everything, if you take it, you don't make it. That's kind of the little thing. If you take it, your body doesn't make it. So everything that you're ingesting gives a piece of information to your body. And when you guys routinely ingest that amount of antivirals, the day you need the antivirals, your body's gonna be like, so what's different today? Because you've been taking antivirals for years, for months, without a break, at these levels and quantities. The day you do need some support because you do get COVID, your body's like, so what? Now what? You're just gonna chug a bottle of zinc because you've been taking already zinc 3 times a day. So what are you gonna do? Take zinc, what, every hour? and chug, a bottle every 6 hours. I mean, vitamin C, same thing. You and tell me if I'm wrong. You've been taking all these antivirals for so long and you still get COVID. And here, Angie, here, 5 weeks out, cough is still here. You know why, Angie? Because your elimination pathways weren't open, because your lymphatic system that holds a big part of your immune system wasn't prepared is not mounting an appropriate response. So you're lingering in this thing because the immune response that your immune system is mounting is not appropriate. Okay, it's maybe underperforming, so you're still lingering with this. That is why. And so, you guys, I've been infamous for telling people, when you start doing my lymphatic reset, remove all these antivirals. We're not doing it. Okay. And people are like, no, but I need them. No, those are crutches. You can absolutely heal without any of them. And there will be a time in a day that you will need them, you guys. But if you make your body so used to them that when you need them, they're not going to have the same effect of someone that is fairly virgin and is going down with vitamin C, and the zinc and the lysine and the cat's claw as if it's a virgin body, because the body is going to react to, whoa, what is this? But if this is just your normal protocol, I know you understand that. I don't have to harp on this any longer. I know you understand. So COVID, you beat it before you get it. And you beat it by making sure that you are alkalizing your body and all of your elimination pathways are open and prepared. Okay? And that's just not for COVID. It helps you for anything else. Because God forbid, I do not want you to live in fear that you're going to get this thing and your goal is, I'm trying to run away. I don't want to get it. You should not live like this, because in the meantime, first of all, it's mental. And in the meantime, you're missing out on life. Karen, what about B12? What about B12? I go from phases in which I take the B12. I don't take anything always. There isn't one supplement that I constantly take. And even the B12, I finish the bottle and I leave some time to pass. And then when I feel like it or start again, there are moments throughout the year. So when we do lymphatic reset, we don't take any of the supplements. We take some herbs, but the herbs are specifically tailored for each elimination pathway that we discussed before. So we're not taking antivirals during the lymphatic reset for many reasons. But one that comes to mind right away is we don't want to kill any more viruses. The lymphatic reset is the primer. What we want is to clean up what's in there, dead and stagnant, that is making your lymphatic system stagnant, that is keeping you toxic and acidic. So we have to vacuum clean, okay? Then we're going to go deep with the mop. But for the beginning, for the lymphatic reset, we're going and eliminate everything that is on the surface. So you don't want to produce any more antivirals. You don't want to produce any more dying off of cells. I mean, more than what happens naturally with, the food you eat and your traditional metabolism. So the B12 is not an issue, you guys. I take it, and I've been taking it with COVID, but it's not something that I take every day. And ask me if I'm deficient with B12. The only thing that I started to supplement during COVID times was the D3. And it was the first time in my life that I was deficient. I've never supplemented D3, but now because of it, and all the the noise around COVID, I've been supplementing D3 fairly regularly. And when I did my blood work, was the only thing I was deficient on. Can you believe it? Let me talk about zinc deficiency and the loss of taste and smell. Medical medium says that the loss of taste and smell is due to zinc deficiency. Now, how many of you here got COVID and lost their sense of taste and smell? I did. Now, this is a community out of any other community, you guys, that if there's one supplement that you all take religiously is zinc. So how can you all be supplementing regularly with zinc and still losing loss of taste and smell? Are you all deficient? Well, but then it will have to make you think. The more you are supplementing, the more deficient you get. That makes no sense. So, Karen, I don't. What does it mean? You don't take COVID? You didn't lose the taste or smell. Just be a little bit more specific. So you guys, we all supplement with zinc, and so many of us have lost the taste and smell. So what does it mean? Either the loss of taste and smell is not connected to zinc or zinc deficiency, or Adding more supplementations to an existing deficiency doesn't mean that you are overcoming the deficiency, because the reason why you're deficient to begin with, it's not being addressed. I'm on day 3, Rachel, of COVID, and my EBV symptoms are coming back. I have a super tight throat. Is there anything to help relieve this? So how do you know that this is an EBV symptom, Rachel? Like your throat, your tight throat is for you symptom of EBV, but if I understand correctly, you're on day 3 of COVID. Is this what it is? And if so, what is it that you're taking so far? That's something that we need to consider. So guys, in the meantime that you guys get down to answer the questions that I just asked you for clarification, you beat COVID before you get COVID, right? We talked about that. You beat COVID by making choices that make sure that nutritional choices that don't feed the virus, right? The existing ones and COVID. And 2, you beat COVID by making sure that your elimination pathways are open so that your toxicity level lessen and there's more room for the body to fight the virus. The moment I got COVID, I got into this elimination mode, not voluntarily, my body did. So you start sweating, because your body wants to sweat out the virus. I start pooping. I start peeing much more often. Of course, I was also drinking a lot. As I said, I went on a juice fast from day 1. We've been 10 days on a juice fast. And then when we were hungry, we just had some fruit, okay? Okay, so Rachel, help me understand. You're saying I'm on day 3. On day 3 of what then? And then it says, medical media says throat tightness is EBV. And taking all supplements and eating no food for 3 months. So you've been doing medical medium protocol for 3 months, okay? If that's what I'm correct, I'm understanding. So you're taking all the supplements, you're eating all the no foods, and you still got COVID. Is that correct? Now, keep in mind, these viruses, they do have similar symptomatology. So when you have a sore throat, you can have a sore throat for EBV, you can have a sore throat for COVID, you can have a sore throat for, another flu virus. They kind of share symptoms. So what you perceive maybe being EBV, it's truly, if you do have COVID, it's truly COVID that shares some of the symptoms with the EBV, okay? Now, Rachel, I'd like to hear your thoughts into this. You've been following medical medium for 3 months. You've been doing the antiviral protocol as medical medium recommended, and you still got COVID. Why is that, according to you? What are your thoughts? And CCJ, so how do you open your sweating elimination pathways? Okay, so you gotta sweat, you gotta force yourself to sweat. So I recommend to do an infrared sauna. I recommend to do Epsom salt bath and regularly, daily, and then drink ginger tea as you are in the sauna and or into your Epsom salt bath, because that will make you sweat more profusely. But it's if you are being clogged, because it's basically being clogged if you don't sweat, it's like a treadmill. You have to keep going. And that's not the only thing you do, because working on your elimination pathways, it's not that because you don't sweat, you got to focus only on the sweating. You have to work on the 5 of them to make sure that also the one through your skin unclogs. So you can't just isolating one. Like I said, let's not be myopic on here. So you work on all of your elimination pathways. You do your dry brushing, so you open up the pores so it's clean, and when you finally sweat, the stuff comes out. Yes, Karen, use the sauna when you have COVID. Now, I wouldn't use the sauna the first 2 or 3 days of COVID, but I will definitely use the sauna when you start feeling a little bit better, and that could be an amazing support. I used it, it's amazing. So Rachel is saying, I had throat tightness before a year ago, and it hasn't been back since starting medical medium. So you started medical medium and your throat tightness came back? Or hasn't been back since starting the medical medium? Meaning you started the medical medium for 3 months and the tightness was gone. Today is flaring up so bad. Also not sure why, but I don't think my immune system is fully healed. I had bad acid reflux and throat tightness that led me to medical medium. Okay, so let's make it simple, you guys. If you're symptomatic, not just COVID, anything. If you come to the medical medium because you're symptomatic, your immune system is compromised, right? Otherwise, the immune system will know what to do and you will not be symptomatic, right? So that's very basic. Now, remember, where's your immune system? Your immune system, a lot of people know that, part of it is in your gut. You know where the rest of it is? In your lymphatic system. So when people ask me, who should do a lymphatic reset? Do you breathe? Do you have symptoms? You need a lymphatic reset. And you need it more than once a year. For me, it's become kind of a lifestyle. But, my juicing that I do during lymphatic reset, these are part of my life. This is how my daughter eats and drinks. So, for me, what has been true, Rachel, is the opposite. So I've been dealing with frozen shoulder, and during COVID, so the day before COVID, I was still going to PT for my frozen shoulder. The day I got COVID, it's gone. So as I always tell my clients, when COVID gets you, it doesn't get you virgin. So the way I am, my terrain, right? The way I've been prepped my body, in good and bad, is different than yours, and is different than Karen, is different than Christine and Rachel. So the way COVID finds you with your pre-existing condition as well has to do also with the way the body is going to respond to COVID. So I had another client who had been dealing with plantar fasciitis. The day she got COVID, and for the duration of COVID, the plantar fasciitis was gone. So why would that happen? Now, viruses, you know that, they compete for the host. And that's one. Two, when you have a chronic level of viral load, like your EBVs and your shingles and whatnot, there's basically a chronic activation of your immune system that is not, let's call it from 0 to 10. It's not 10, when you get a chronic level, meaning it's past the acute phase. You are on a chronic stage. So your EBV flare, it's chronic. So, but usually it's not 10. So your immune system is constantly pushed to mount some kind of inflammatory response, which is an immune response, the inflammation, but it's a low level. So when you're dealing with anything chronic, even viral, your immune system is activated, but from 0 to 10, we'll call it activated 2 or 3. Okay. Now, when we get something acute and new like COVID, the immune system is pushed to mount the maximum response, right? So when your immune system is pushed to mount a 10, in the inflammation situation, in the elimination that does, tagging the T cells, remember, and start eliminating through the throat, through the bowel, remember the viral poop that we talked about, through the kidneys and all that. When that happens, because there's an acute exposure, it will take care also of some of the lingering things that you had going on, because all of a sudden there's a 10 at force at work there. And so it's be more aggressive towards some strains of EBV that you may have that were on a chronic level and the immune system wasn't stimulated enough to take care of it. Now, the reason why you're chronic with any of this viruses is because the immediate response when you first encounter wasn't the appropriate one. Remember when we talked about mounting the appropriate immune response? So it's important that you understand that when you meet someone, that's why COVID, you want to get it down right away. You don't want to drag it. You don't want to be the long whole COVID, because that means that the immune response wasn't appropriate. And so it's it's like a car stuck in a gear in the snow, it's trying to do something, but it's not doing efficiently. So you want to get in with a 10 response, take down this virus and any other virus that may be harboring, your body, and get it over with. And the way you do that is to make sure the immune system is prepared, not boosted. Remember, not boosted, modulating. So the immune system needs to go and modulate based on the threat. You don't want to go 10 every single time, because again, cytokine storm, that could be also an issue. So you guys, with COVID, the issue is the lack of oxygen. not just in your lungs, but in your cells in general. So lack of oxygen happens when we are in an acidic state. So if your body is acidic, more likely it is that you may be struggling for oxygen. So I can't stress this enough. You need to prepare your body before you meet COVID, and you need to consider, you guys, your elimination pathways. Now, I've done the work for you. So if you want to sign up today and you start getting questions answered by me every day in the Be Well Health Club from now on, 24/7, until we get to the January 3rd, which is the beginning of the 6-week group, lymphatic reset group. And then you learn so much about how your body works, what does it mean when something happens, when something doesn't happen, and how to prepare yourself for COVID, because I'm going to add that too. Because now, you guys, one of the worst experience of COVID was the sense of isolation. Not because people don't want to come visit you, of course, but because the doctors that I usually kind of tap into, I have an ND, an homeopath, and an MD. You know that none of them know anything. They don't know. 2 years into this pandemic, and they still don't have a golden program, like something that they will say, okay, this is what's going to happen, this is how it's going to feel, if this happens, do that, if this happens, do. Nobody has this. They don't want to talk to you. And a lot of people, clients of mine too, I mean, the clients had me. But when you get it yourself, there are moments that you maybe question yourself, especially when you are not doing well, you guys. And I documented this for my clients. They have seen me when I was like, this is not good, you guys. So of course, when you don't feel well and you see your daughter not feeling well and my husband not feeling well, you're like, wait a minute. And because we also the product of 2 years of brainwashing, of look all the people who died, look, they were all healthy, they were all young, oh, God forbid the kids, right? And now I know how to read through this, but when you're sick, this is not the time. That's why I want to make sure that I'm going to do a webinar on COVID preparedness, because I want to make sure that each one of you, whether you had it already or not, whether your family had it, that you are prepared to fight COVID before you meet COVID. Because when you have COVID, this is not the time to start scrambling what kind of supplements and what kind of things I need to get in my house. Ivermectin. I've been telling everybody, all of my clients, to get it months ago. And I took it for 2 days. And then I stopped. Remember when I told you I'm willing to say things don't work and change my mind when I realize that they make no sense. Now, I believe that ivermectin helped, because I have a lot of clients who did take ivermectin and they feel immediately much better. But I took it basically preventatively. I took it the day 1, I took ivermectin. I took it the day 2, and I didn't feel any difference. And then when I read the new suggested dosage for ivermectin for the Delta and all the other variants, it's double the dose of what it used to be. So I was a little bit skeptical in doubling the dose when I had my own MD telling me that he took 18 milligrams and he really felt like shit. So based on the double of the dosage, I was supposed to take 30 milligrams. And I was a little bit skeptical, specifically because the first 2 days at half dose, which was what it was intended for before, it really didn't do much to me. So I took ivermectin for 2 days, and that was it, because I felt, I checked in with my body, that I did not need it. So I do not credit ivermectin for us recovering in 6 days. My husband didn't even take it. But I do believe that having it at home, if and when it happens, should be part of your preparedness, COVID preparedness kit, because once you get COVID, you don't have the time to go find ivermectin. You don't have the time to go find all the different teas and the different supplements. You want to have that stash, tucked somewhere in your closet, in your pantry for emergency. Okay? And the last thing I want you to do when you have COVID is to think. And what I said to all of my clients, turn it off. The moment you get COVID, it becomes a mind game. So the mind, you need to distract it and turn it off, because that is going to be your worst enemy. You guys, I hope you really are registering what I'm saying right now, which is you beat COVID before you get COVID. Once you get COVID, you need to be already prepared, right? Do not get COVID and try to figure out what to do and what to take. Before you get COVID, you have to do that. You have your stash, so you're calm. Because remember the fear, people wrote here, I'm scared. That is what it's going to affect the outcome of this COVID. not the only thing, but for some could be the only thing. I have a client, the one that is on 18 days, who got to the hospital twice because you can distinguish a panic attack or an anxiety attack from the lack of oxygen. So in those moments, you guys, when you're not feeling well and you're not in the fully connected, this is not when you want to go and figure it out what's best for you and what you need to do. As I said, I do not want you to think when you have COVID. All I want you to do is to relax, to sleep, to watch shows on repeat, to listen to nice music. I want you to turn off your mind because it's a mind game, and your mind is gonna be your biggest enemy. So, as I said, you beat COVID before you get COVID. Remember that, and then you prepare yourself. So, CCJ, where do you get ivermectin? So you can ask your doctors to prescribe it to you. I don't know where you are and what's your situation with your doctors. Otherwise, there's a website that is there's a list of a bunch of doctors that will prescribe it to you. It's getting harder and harder, especially in the US, and I know other countries as well, but they still feel it. They just charge so much money for it. It's disgusting. Now, what I'm doing with my webinar coming up, it's to give you a list of alternatives to ivermectin that you can have at home, from teas to herbs that you can have, and they have a kind of similar effect, which is an antiparasitic effect. So I'm gonna try to find the link for you. Now, if you guys have actually, that's what it was. If you guys have any questions, so I'm gonna put this for you. This is the link where you can find not just you can find doctors that will be able to support you on some prescribed medication for you, no matter where you are in the world, if you need that. Otherwise, just call your doctor and see if they will prescribe you ivermectin. But if ivermectin, it's not something that you can easily reach out or afford, I promise you there are alternatives. And as I said, I have made sure that all of my clients had ivermectin for months already. I had it at home, of course, because as I said, you gotta get prepared, right? And you guys, if you are watching and you have gotten the artificial immunization, please know that you still can get COVID, because who gave it to me was vaccinated, and all the people that are getting vaccinated now they are getting COVID now are the ones who are vaccinated. So please do not be fooled by the thought that if you have been immunized, that means that you're not getting COVID. Also, it doesn't mean that you're not getting COVID with symptoms. Okay, and again, the symptoms is your immune system reacting, but don't think that you've been immunized, so you don't need to be prepared. You don't need to have your emergency kit ready. Please don't make this mistake, okay? And I'm telling you that because a lot of people are telling me, well, weren't you vaccinated? And I'm like, are you stupid? Like, didn't you know that you still get COVID if you're vaccinated? But no, I'm not vaccinated. Okay, Veronica, monoclonal antibodies. I didn't do them because I couldn't get to them. Now, monoclonal antibodies work within the first 10 days. So if past the 10 days, this is not for long COVID. So now I've heard many things, good and bad, but mostly bad, because they're saying that these antibodies are not natural. And so you're still injecting something that is not natural. Now, what I would say is that I wouldn't start with the monoclonal antibodies. You got 10 days. So the first 2-3 days of COVID, as I said, it goes in phases, are key. So if you get on to it, first of all, if you prepare yourself, right? Like I said at the beginning, you beat COVID before you get COVID. So if you prepare yourself, and the best way that I know as of today, based on my experience and all of my clients' experience, is for you to do a lymphatic reset. Just go on my website, January 3rd, and that's how you prepare yourself. And then the first 2-3 days, you get in with the right protocol and you see how you're faring. Then you decide, do I need these monoclonal antibodies or not? They may not be cheap. I tried to find them. They were $1,500 and they were going to come to me on the 20th, which is tomorrow. I looked for it 7 days ago. So like I live in a small town right now and I don't live in a big city. So in a big city, it may be different. You can go to the hospital and maybe they can offer those to you. And it's a personal choice, okay? I would say that if you can get your hands on monoclonal antibodies, do it. Um, but, and if you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. But honestly, can you do it without monoclonal antibodies? Can you do it without ivermectin? 100%, yes. Now, if you see that things seem to be turning for the worse, that is when maybe you want to get into, some more, extreme, like the monoclonal antibodies. They are free here. All I personally know benefited. Okay, so as I said, please, you make your own informed decisions. I don't know where you are, Veronica, but if you can get them for free and if they're readily available, because when I asked my doctor before doing my own search, the guy was like, I wouldn't even know where to find them. I don't live in a place that is really so remote because I'm just 50 minutes from Los Angeles, and yet, and this doctor's in Santa Barbara, and it's not, none of them were prepared. None of them was like, go there. And so I didn't want to go to an hospital. Um, and but again, you are in New York. Okay. So if you can access your monoclonal antibodies, as I said, I haven't personally I haven't taken them, so I can't really speak personally. But what I read, it's not all positive. The same is for ivermectin, right? But then you make your decisions. I had ivermectin, I took it, but then I decided by myself. They tell you that you have to take it like antibiotics for at least 5 days. But I don't take medications ever. And I don't even give it to my daughter. So my daughter's had fever for 8 days, and I just use homeopathy to help her modulate. Am I muted? No? No, no. Can you guys hear me? I didn't touch anything. Maybe I was muted because I just posted this link. Who knows? Elizabeth, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Now I can hear you. Okay. Karen, my doctor sent me to have the monoclonal antibodies. I refused to have it because my symptoms were mild. I'm doing fine now, just a cough. Okay, good. So good, everybody can hear me? Okay, now just a cough. Okay, so you're, Karen, right now, again, as I said, while you are in what? How many days? Is that 10 days, Karen? Is that you? Who, after 10 days, you still have your cough? What are you eating? You guys, I think that another key element was for us to go on a juice fast and make sure that we start eliminating as much as possible, because that's the other part. My husband was like, do you notice this? Yes. Because of the juice fast, we also pushed our body into a deep detox mode. Eliminate COVID. Don't think about COVID. When you start doing Maliphatic reset, which is not a juice fast, and you eat food and all that, you all like, oh my God, I'm in detox mode. I feel my detox symptoms, right? But imagine when you do just juices. So even if even COVID wasn't an issue, we will still have some, symptoms. But that changed everything because it pushed our elimination pathways. It opens things up, and we started flashing things, as I told you, viral poop, stinky pee, and all of it. Karen is eating lots of fruit and vegetables. Karen, consider juicing more. Lots of fruit juices. I load up on pineapple, which is a natural antibiotics. Lots of citruses. So vegetables are still more hard to digest for the body. And when you're sick, you want to keep your energy and make sure that your body makes the least amount of energy, effort to digest. And vegetables are a little bit harder to digest. I mean, I'm not saying not to eat them. I'm just saying that, getting all this fruit juices in you would be a good thing. And I don't know what supplements you're taking, Karen, right now, but let me know. Am I starting to take homeopathic again? No, Elizabeth, not for a while. Right now, I'm very confident about my natural immunity, so I will not take it for now. Well, I have a very cheap juicer. I've had all the juicer, the Hurom, I had the Delta, I had the Omega, sorry. But the one I'm having now, that I'm using now, is called Amazed Chef. I bought it because it was a replacement for my Delta, for my Omega, and I wanted something cheap that looked good on my counter. So they look really pretty, and but it's $120 on Amazon, and I love it. But for this, I have an electric citrus juicer. So because we, for the whole family, I juice in quantity, especially my citruses. So it's also another $120 type of device on Amazon, where you just slice your citruses, you close it, and you push the buttons, and does everything by itself. Karen is doing juice more veggies. I'm doing a pineapple juice a day. Well, Karen, it seems you're doing all the right things. Now, you're taking the supplements that are in the medical medium virus protocol. Okay, so I guess let it go. I mean, let it play out the way it's supposed to play out, Karen. I mean, after 10 days, you still are. How bad is this cough? I had cough too, guys, but it's day 10 for me, and I've been talking for over an hour with no interruption. So, and no need to take a big breath. So I think, of course, it's a personal journey, you guys, because the way COVID found Karen is not the way COVID found me, and not the way that COVID found someone else. So we can completely equalize the journey, but you're eating all the right things. I don't know what you were doing before, but so I don't know much about you, Karen, and how the virus finds you, but I would say that if past 14 days you are not past 14 days you're not over with the COVID, then we can talk some more to see what else can you do, right? Guys, the other thing is you have to shift protocol as you as the COVID shifts. Okay, remember when I told you, when you get COVID, your body is dancing with the virus to try to understand what it is and how it works, and based on that dancing and understanding, the body will mount the inflammatory response, it will mount the immune response. Okay, so as for homeopathy, that's what we do in homeopathy, we shift as the symptoms shift. So you need to shift your protocol as your symptoms are shifting. I would say not to have the same protocol for 10 days, because it's not efficient. COVID goes in phases. There's a first phase, there's a second phase when the cough starts, and you want to partially shift the protocol to address that phase versus the first phase, which is the one where, there's the dance, and when, it's coming in and you want your immune system to work properly. So I did not do the same protocol for the full 10 days. I mean, now, again, I've been out of this for the last 4. I haven't tested myself if we're negative, but we're asymptomatic at this point, all of us. Hey, Nicole, I know you're also going through COVID. How are you doing today? So someone asked me if I will ever consider the artificial immunization, and that is definitely not something that I was considering before, and let alone now. You guys, remember when I told you about mounting an appropriate immune response? Okay, so with artificial immunization, the body is hijacked, and its ability to mount an appropriate response is hijacked. So the problem as to why some people have an adverse reaction to the artificial immunization, it's specifically because of that, because the artificial immunization, also known as the vaccine, impedes the body, basically hijacks the body in the natural ability to understand how much immune response to mount, and basically it's a blank statement to reacting the same way for everybody. Also, the natural immunity that comes from having gone through COVID, it's immunity that is a-specific, meaning we haven't mounted an immunity for a specific strain. Whereas the vaccines, as you notice, are very specific, and so they override the natural, because once you get that, your natural immunity is overridden, and And that's why you need to continue to have boosters, and or you know, the fourth one is coming. For they're already saying that the booster is not really working against Omicron, so you will need to continue to get these boosters and this stuff to stay up to date, because once your immune system is being hijacked in an unnatural way, then you kind of subject it to their natural way all the way through. For some of you to maintain the status, because in some countries you need to have your green pass, and so if you want to keep it up to date, you can't just stop getting boosters, you have to continue. And two, because again, your natural immunity at this point is being hijacked by something that is not natural. So obviously now I got COVID, and so if I didn't think about getting vaccinated before, I will definitely not get vaccinated now, and I will not be taking my influenza for now because I prophylactically don't feel I need it. Nicole, good. You're doing better, especially in the morning. How many days has it been, Nicole, for you? Kareem, I'm taking the homeopathic you recommended, but I think I had COVID in 2020. Should I continue taking it? I heard there was a test to check for past COVID infection to test your T cells. What are your thoughts? So, yes, there are a few tests that you can check. So you can do an antibody test to see if you have developed antibodies towards COVID. But as I posted in my Uncensored newsletters, I don't know if you guys are in my newsletters, if you follow me, if you get my newsletters. If not, go on barbaramacooney-smith.com and sign up to the Uncensored newsletters. But anyway, so we're finding that long-lasting immunity, it's not so much in the antibodies that can come and wane over time, but that is true for those who got COVID and for those who got immunized against COVID. They wane over time, right? But what they're seeing is that people that seem to be more resistant to COVID long term are the ones that have specific T cells. Remember the T cells, the ones that are in your immune system, nowhere else, not in your liver, not in your blood, in your lymphatic system. So those T cells, some of them hold the key for long-lasting immunity for COVID. And the funny fact is that they found in the blood, in the blood of people who were tested before COVID even existed, they were found to have T cells that were already protective towards COVID, although COVID technically hadn't existed yet. So T cells seem to be the next level of immunization that people are looking at to see if someone is immune to COVID. Now, whether you think you've had COVID or not, like a long time ago, I would say continue to do all the things that you need to do to make sure that you're prepared to meet COVID before you meet it, right? As I said, you beat it before you get there. And again, you becoming symptomatic, it's not the fact that you have failed or your immune system is failing. You become symptomatic, it's just your immune system doing its work. Now, you having COVID for a month, it's your immune system stuck in a gear. You having COVID for over 2 weeks, I would say that 14 days is kind of the gold standard. Anything past 14 days, you guys, I will consider that your immune system being stuck in a gear and needs to be shaken a little bit, because it's trying to mount a response, but it's not really, doing it efficiently. So, but until then, I will say I don't want you to worry about it. First of all, I don't want you to worry, period, in general. And I don't want you to worry if you haven't gotten COVID. Because if I'm here to say anything is, you guys, this thing that they have, shifted the whole world for, it's unwarranted. And not just because I had it and now I'm like, you guys, I'm over it, so, we're good. No, it's because it's absolutely unwarranted. What they have put together, the segregation, it now depends on where you're living. My family in Italy is segregated. We're talking about green pass and a super green pass. I mean, Europe is really not having a good time right now. And so the amount of isolation and segregation and fear mongering that is being put in place on a global scale is simply not warranted for what we see on the field of people who have successfully overcome COVID. It's just not warranted. So anyway, I hope that this live was informative. I will put a webinar together, like a masterclass with detailed information about what I did before COVID, during COVID, and what you can do after COVID. What you can do for your kids, for your little one during COVID. Like I said, my daughter had a fever for 8 days. I had one of the moms calling me and say, "Is Isabel still with fever?" I said, "Yes." That's a long time to have a fever, like there's so much misinformation. My daughter's fever, which was her only symptom, she had a little bit of cough, but she was running 103 at night and she was talking to me about mermaids. She was totally with it, always very lively and very vital. So it's important that you understand what to do for yourself. And again, you know what I used to tell my clients, what's the worst thing of COVID is having to take care of your child who has COVID while you have COVID. Because especially in the first few days, I mean, the pain, the body pain, and I know that you guys that have that had it too, like the body pain is brutal. So sometimes I said to my husband, only energy I have is to breathe. I can't do anything else. But we needed to stay up every hour alternatively to make sure that my daughter wasn't spiking the fever. So, as I said, when you get COVID, this is not the time you want to think. And that's why I want to empower you with all the information that you need so that when that happens, you totally comfort, you just take care of yourself and you don't have to make decisions. You don't have to think about stuff. You have to, you know what to do, and you just say the course. There's also a spiritual component that comes with COVID. And, you guys, I could have been exposed many times before in 2 years. And, the reason why it came now is something that I've been working with myself on a spiritual level. So there's always a spiritual component of anything that happens to us. So I will be putting together this webinar, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to detail for you what to do before COVID, what is your emergency kit does your emergency kit look like, what to do during COVID, what to do if things go A, B, or C, what to do for your little ones, and then what to do after COVID, whether, again, past the first 2 weeks, you're still symptomatic, or what to do after COVID. Like, where do you go from there? Like, where do you go from juicing, right? What's the best next thing? And how to use COVID. And I will say this is a crucial point to basically hack your body and your immune system to help you get rid, like I said at the beginning, of some of the lingering things that you have on a chronic level, because you could use this enhanced immune response to help you get rid of some of the things, like as I said, my frozen shoulder. Okay, so these are things that I'm going to put, tools that I'm going to put in your hands if you want in my webinar. I'm putting it together now and it should be available next week. But again, one thing I noticed is I was alone. And I know a lot, you guys, right? And I have access that most people don't have. And yet people were so unhelpful. So I made it a point to put something together so that nobody will ever have to go through this alone. That nobody's ever had to spend $500 to get access to therapy or consults that especially when you're sick, because you don't have time to save that money up, because when you're sick you need it now. So again, don't wait to get sick. Make sure that you have all the information that you need before you get sick. And again, for what I can, I'm putting together this webinar to make it available to you guys so that you have a resource even when you get sick, and again, that's not the word to use, even when you encounter COVID, to make sure that you have all the tools to take care of yourself properly. Elizabeth is saying, my daughter-in-law won't see me, talk to me, or text me. No contact because I didn't get the shot, so I only can see my son if we are outside. Well, I'm so sorry, Elizabeth, and that is part of the segregation and the isolation that is being created, the fear mongering that is putting people against each other, because at the end of the day, if you strip all of this stuff, we all want the same thing, right? We all want to be good and healthy, but people who react this way are people that are extremely scared. And so when you're scared, you act on your ego level, on your mind level, not on your soul level. And when you are on that level, you're at a third dimension level, right? But right now we're going to the fourth and fifth dimension. You want to be on your soul level. So that's why I said to you guys that that's a whole another type of work that I do, which is the soul circle, you guys, if you have the opportunity, first of all, I want you to consider the lymphatic reset. If you've never done it, or if you've done it, this is the time. There's never been a better time, especially after the holidays, so January 3rd. But the soul circle is something that I don't really talk about much, but is another program that I offer that is all about emotional support and emotional detox. So as I said to you guys, there's an a spiritual reason why I got COVID now and not 6 months ago. And so it's important that you consider that aspect of it, that you don't stay sucked into your ego, into your body feelings and your fear, crippling fear. So it's really, really important. Guys, and I'm reading here other people are in a similar situation with their families. I hope that this is for you guys a safe space. I have created now the Be Well Health Club where you can join. It's a monthly subscription and find that safe space for a very small monthly fee. You can join us and be there, and I will be responding to all of your questions. But it also you'll find a community of like-minded people, because isolation can kill you guys. So it's my dream and my wish that none of you will ever feel that you are alone in this journey. And as I said, none of you think that you have to spend $500 to get answers, that none of you get to COVID and anything else. It doesn't have, because the Be Well Health Club was created way before COVID, right? So it's a place for you to get access to information and questions and know there's someone that is going to listen to you at any point that you need it, for a very limited, monthly membership. Jenny is saying, I have COVID right now. Just found out yesterday. It's going to be a lonely Christmas, but I'm making the best of it. I'm doing pretty good, and I'm on medical medium supplements for a while. Okay, so make sure that you can at least be in contact with family and friends. I don't know if it's just you or someone else in your family has been affected. Make sure that, you take care of yourself and you take this time to not go into the rabbit hole as to why this happened to me, why now, but just react positively, tap into your soul, and just go into that spiritual journey that the COVID is calling for. Because, as I said, it's a mind game, you guys, and so you need to turn it off. You need to turn all the noise off of the people that are trying to blame you, to make you feel guilty, to make you question your choices. Turn all of that off, you guys, and just focus on good movies, feel good movies, good podcasts, good music. Write, because writing is also a way of eliminating, right? Remember the tears that I said is the fifth elimination pathways. The first 3 days I cried so much, and I didn't have seemingly a reason. I wasn't crying for pain, or I was just very emotional. So that was another way of my body purging, to make room for the fight that we needed to undertake with this specific virus. So I want to make sure, you guys, that we've been together. I thought we were going to do this in 45 minutes. It's been an hour and 47. So I want to if you're still following, let me see, just gonna people still, that thank you for following this whole time, you guys. If you have, Jenny say, yes, I have a whole list of new things I want to learn. Okay, so this is the spirit, Jenny. And this COVID is a bad beast, in a sense that goes up and down. And when you think you just ever overcame it, then it takes you down the next day. And it doesn't mean that you're going bad. It's very common. So save your energy. Try to expose yourself to sun every day, with your skin exposed to the sun. And if you can't physically go out, try to put yourself into a light, so that you get the sunshine. Tasha, you love my info. Thank you so much. Thank you, Roni, for being here. I love your hat, Roni. That's a spirit. All I want is to make sure that you guys don't feel alone in this, okay? And since we're passing the hour time, this is my smoothie for the day. Nobody should feel alone. Nobody should feel that doesn't have a place to ask questions timely and get the right information. So as I said, I invite you all to consider the lymphatic reset that we start on January 3rd, because that is the best way, I promise you guys, to prepare your body, not just for COVID, but for anything else that you may be dealing with. because you have to lessen your toxic load. You have to let things go out of your body. And then the Soul Circle is also starting now, and it's a new group. It could change your life. Potentially, it could change your life. It has definitely changed mine. And then, last but not least, consider joining the Be Well Health Club. So if you go on my website, you're gonna find that. And for those of you, I have a very nice husband. He's been amazing. Even during us being all sick, he's been taking care of our daughter when I couldn't even just lift a finger let alone lift myself from bed. And although he was sick, he really stepped up and took care of her. So so go to my website and look for the Be Well Health Club, and it's a healing community of people who have been with me for a while, and I want to open it up to other people that may not know me, but maybe this message has reached you and you feel like, hey, I like this girl. So if you want to access me, you don't have to just pay for the single consult. You can just ask me questions on our Be Well Health Club. Last but not least, I'm going to send a newsletter about this, but I'm happy to announce that for all of you who are thinking about maybe changing career or are already coaches, for the first time on January 17th, we're starting a lymphatic reset coaches training. So my goal is to empower as many people as possible with the information that I've acquired, the experience that I've put together over the years, so that it's possible for us to touch as many people as possible. So whether you're currently a coach or you're studying to become a coach, you're thinking about getting a coach, or you're thinking, and maybe even if you just want to do it to be kind of the point of reference for yourself and your family, this is the training. It's a coach's training that it's a 10-week training that I'm putting together. So if this is something that resonates with you guys, I will be there teaching you not just about the lymphatic reset and how to have your own lymphatic groups, but I'm going to add 2 new modules. They're just COVID to help you coach people through COVID. And there's also a module that is all dedicated to business. So in my previous life, I used to teach business and marketing. And I see that in a lot of this coaching programs, it's really the one thing that lacks, and people are all they're doing all of their learning, but then from there to get into business, it's a whole different story. And so people freeze there and eventually end up doing nothing. But my goal is for you guys to learn all that I know and more, and start touching a lot of people, start holding your own groups, and start translating it into your own languages, into your own communities, so that it's, for me, important that you guys are able to put the business together. And the business coaching will be a big part of also what we will be doing in this new training that I'm putting out, and it will be available. We're starting on January 17th. So I know, Ronnie, you want to do them all, but I will say start with what you feel it's more needed right away. So whether it's the Soul Circle or the lymphatic reset, start with that, and then we can go from there. If you want to study lymphatic coaching, you will have to have gone through the lymphatic reset yourself at least once. So guys, thank you so much for following. I hope that this was a good live that gave you some good information. Watch out for my webinar on COVID preparedness, and I will Jenny, you go on my website, manconiasmith.com, and you find all the things that I've just discussed here with you guys, because people are like, Barbara, she is the one from the lymphatic reset, but I do so much more than that. It's just that the lymphatic reset took a life on its own, and thousands of people have done it, and thousands of people have shifted their life, and so thank you so much for being here. I want you to know that you're not alone. So for as long as I'm here, you'll always have a here, okay? I will always be here listening to you. Talk soon.